Hi everyone. In today's class, I'm going to teach about API testing. Since yesterday, someone was asking about APIs and they don't know how to do testing. So I thought I can cover quickly today and end the study with me series today. Okay. So it's very crucial to understand what is API. This is something like nowadays in the interview, they're asking everybody, like in the US or in Canada or in the UK too, they're asking these questions about do you know API? What is the tools that you used as a BA to test APIs and what are the different kinds of APIs? Can you tell the difference on all that? So today I'm going to talk about let's talk about different types of APIs. First of all, what is API? API is nothing but uh, it is a means of communication between two systems. Okay, so it can be like, for example, two computer systems, they want to exchange information over the internet. How can they do it? Okay, it can be internal applications. It need not be external. For example, let's say this Wells Fargo may have multiple teams, right? They can have credit teams, they can have loan teams, they can have mobile banking team, online banking team. They have like different kinds of teams. Enrollment team, like different teams will be there and they'll have their own system. One can be in Pega, one can be in Java, one can be in AngularJS, like it can be in different technologies inside Wells Fargo IT. So what they will do is, for example, enrollment team want to access data from credit card team, or maybe mobile banking team want to access data from let's say document repository team. So what internally within Wells Fargo, it's a very big company. Okay, so the data is huge and everything is not stored under one system, and internally IT is going to be separated into multiple different teams, right? That's how it is work. So in order for example, enrollment team to access data from credit card team, okay, and right now they don't have any interaction, so they want to do it. What they will do is, like, the easiest way for them to configure is like configure the APIs. So enrollment team, they will be using the credit card team's API. They will do some coding and then they'll be able to access it. So that's the purpose. So the purpose of API is nothing but it's an interface so that two computer systems can exchange information securely over the internet. Okay, so it can be internal systems or third party. So when Wells Fargo can also, like, if they want to have a contract with all the credit card merchants like Visa, Mastercard, they are external, right? So that is there. If they want to have contract with all these credit score companies, they will do it. So not only internally applications, if they want to talk externally also, so in that case also they'll be using this API. So that's the whole purpose of the API is nothing but you have to information exchange to make sure that you are able to, like, securely going to exchange that information between two different systems or two different companies, however you want. So that is API. That's the purpose of API. It is called as application programming interface. Okay, in order for two systems to communicate, we need to have a common language, right? So if, for example, my system is Pega system and yours is a Java system, how can we communicate with each other? So that's why these APIs will have some kind of formatting. The file exchange between one system to another system will have some kind of formatting. So for that, uh, generally earlier when API concept started, they use something called SOAP API. That's the initial API. Okay, so SOAP is the basic API that we all used some like 15 years back. So what will happen is, in SOAP we had restrictions. In SOAP, right, only an XML file can be exchanged. So other formats, for example, HTML, text file, JSON, those things cannot be exchanged by SOAP. So earlier, but it was like these are all new concepts, right? So initially when they did, they developed a SOAP. So if you see SOAP, the SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol, and it is a protocol for communication between two systems. And what it will do is that particular API can only support XML data exchange. Okay, and if the messages are very long, for example, Bank of America is sending all their member information like first name, last name, everything to a credit print company. So for example, they have a new member that is enrolled, Now enrollment team is going to say that this member is a new member. We have to send credit card, like the basic credit card, so that he's eligible for that. So we have to print and send the credit card to the member. That's the data flow. Okay. So once the member is enrolled into Wells Fargo, they don't have that credit card printing, right? They're outsourcing it. So what they will do is they have to send member first name, last name, address, and a template and all that. They have to send those information to that credit card printing company. So when they send that, if the file is very large, messages are very large, then it's going to be very slow. The communication is going to be very slow. It will not be instant at all. It will be very slow, and sometimes you can get error messages too. So that's why SOAP has its own disadvantages. So SOAP is like when you're sending larger messages, the communication is very slow. Okay. And scalability, for example, like let's say that like 1,000 people have enrolled today. They're giving something like kind of discount. Maybe like if you join, there's a $500 some a reward and all that. So like you see a bunch of people enrolling. So in that case, they will not be able to handle it because of the SOAP doesn't, it's very difficult for SOAP to scale. So what will happen is there will be lag and they'll not be able to process. There'll be error messages and all internally between all the every time when there's a transaction, when there's a hit in the other system, they'll get that. So these are some of the difficulties that people have using SOAP APIs. So, but initially SOAP was the one in the industry, right? Everybody was using SOAP because the concept is very new. Earlier it's all batch processing. So batch processing means all the files has to be zipped in one zip file, and then that file has to be dropped in a location. That file has to be picked up by a title job scheduler, some kind of job scheduler. From there it will be dropping into the our client's location. From there the client has to pick up, they have to unzip the file, then they have to like do all the member validation, then they have to load into their database. So that it will take maybe 24 hours to 48 hours. So just for sending files, and then from our system to any like third party, and then they receive it, they have to send you an ACK file, and then they have to open the zip file, process it. Process means like it needs to be in a certain format. Okay, whatever agreed format between your system engineers and them, it needs to be in the same format. If the format is a mismatch, they will reject the file. So all this like headache is there if you're doing for batch processing. So that's why people want to get into this API concepts. So API is very good to have because you're not waiting for a very long time for a simple like all these file exchanges, right? So API is good, but between the APIs, these are the two important APIs, SOAP and REST. So if in the interview they ask you what is the difference between SOAP and REST, so you have to say SOAP API is nothing but it's called as simple object access protocol. This is both the APIs are used for communication between two computers or two systems or two companies or internally also inside the company also. If you want to, your system wants to talk to another system, your team's data wants to be accessed by other system, then we use this SOAP and REST. Okay, so you can use either one only. You can use SOAP or you can use REST. You cannot use both. So you have to understand. If you say that in my team we used both SOAP and REST, then means they know you don't have real life experience, right? You can use either one only. You cannot use both SOAP and REST at the same time. So what we are going to you have to say is that SOAP is nothing but it only supports XML file, whereas REST supports XML JSON. So Wells Fargo, right? If they want to talk to another credit card merchant, their file can be XML, file can be JSON, their file can be text, any type of file. REST will be able to support it. Okay, so these are some of the different formats that REST will be able to support it. Also, second advantage is it's very fast, because here in SOAP, right, if you're sending large files, it is going to be communication is slow, and you're going sometimes you get error messages, right? But here it's not like that. The rest is like faster compared to SOAP. Also easy to scale. So today, like users are like 1,000 users. Tomorrow the system suddenly like it gets popular, we have 10,000 hits every day. Then in that case, REST will be able to handle it because it is stateless. So stateless in the sense, since it is it is independent of previous messages. So I will tell you in a bit what is that meaning. But right now we understand that today 100 users are able to access one API, REST API. Tomorrow, if it is like 1,000 people want to access the same API, it is totally possible. But in SOAP, it's very difficult to scale. You'll always see that 404 error. If you see some some websites and all, if you click, it'll always go to 404, not found, not found, not found. So that and all is SOAP errors. Okay. So and also um, REST is very, very useful for public APIs. So if let's say that like search, like Google search, no, let's say that the customer wants to search ATMs near me. Okay, I have given a code, and if they click on search, they'll be able to see where this ATM. This is all like public information. Anybody can go and search, and from the database, it's going to give the results, right? It's going to give multiple results. What are the ATMs near me? What are their hours? Whether they are drive-through or just an office. So it's going to give a lot of information. So for like these kind of queries, when a public is doing, so anybody anywhere they can stand and then they can use the search. They need not even be a member. They are not even signing. So just they can you go to search, and from search, if you ask for ATM and banking locations, you can just give your zip code and it's going to give you results. So this is public facing. So if it's public facing, REST is the best one for all the public APIs. It's the best one because of the security it's giving, and also like I told you, instantly it will give you results. Let's say that I'm giving another zip code. Okay, 24660. Okay, and I'm searching. Okay, so if I give that again, immediately within like 1 or 2 seconds, it's giving me results. Do you see that? That's because of REST API. It's able immediately, not even in a second. Okay, in a fraction of a second, it's able to go and hit the database, and it's going to give you very specific results. So, for example, 34264. Okay, search. See, within like not even like a second, right? It is able to hit so this is get API. Don't think what is this? This is called as get REST API. I'll tell you what are the different APIs. So this is like public is searching. The unique identifier is a zip code, and when you give that, it's going to the database. It's getting the hit back, giving you all these results. Okay, so this is real time API concepts, and if you see right, it will be faster. It'll be very faster compared to other websites and all that. Okay, so that's the advantage of REST APIs. So the basic about API is nothing but application programming interface. We have two different types of APIs. One is SOAP and REST. What's the purpose of APIs? For instead of batch processing? Batch processing takes a lot of time, maybe like 24 to 48 hours, and it's not even secure. Sometimes you lose the files. But API concepts is like instantly you will be able to real time, right? Instantly you'll be able to retrieve the data. And then we have two types. One is SOAP, one is REST. And in SOAP, the disadvantages is the data format. It can only support XML file exchange, whereas here any file format is fine. Here larger messages are you can send, but the communication is going to be slower. Here it's going to be very faster. Here it's going to be difficult to scale. Okay, but here you can like even if 50,000 people are going to access the same API, it will be able to support it because it is stateless. Okay, so and for legacy applications, because when we started all these ACF concepts between 15 years, we all used SOAP only. But nowadays, engineers prefer REST API. So that's why. So nowadays in the interview, they're going to ask you most on REST API only. Like, do you know REST API? Have you tested REST APIs? Can you tell me what are the methods and everything? So you have to say that, yes, I know about REST APIs. I don't know how to test also. Now, I'm going to show you the tools. This is called Postman. Okay, this is the tool to test the APIs. So what your engineer will give you is, this is a URL that he's going to give. Okay, API URL. So he's going to give. So in the REST API, this is the tool. Okay, like Jira, Postman is the tool. Okay, for testing any kind of APIs. You can test SOAP API also. You can test REST API also. Both the APIs you will be able to test. This is a testing tool. Okay, so you can download directly. You can go to Postman, and then if you download, if you have Mac, accordingly it will get downloaded. If you have Windows also, accordingly it will automatically get downloaded. So you can just search for Postman download, you'll be able to get it. So what is happening is there are like different kind of methods. You need to understand what is get method, post method, put method, patch method, and delete method. These are the different kinds of methods in REST API. Okay. Get method means get without parameters, means when your engineers give you a URL. Okay. When it is HTTPS, if S is there, means it is REST. Okay, just by seeing the APIs, you will know whether this is SOAP API or REST API. When we say HTTPS, S means secured, right? So when the S is there, HTTPS protocol is there, means this is an REST API. Okay. So what your engineer will say is, I have created an API for you. Can you please test it? So what you will do, you will go and let's say that we have about, you're testing for a mobile store. Okay. In that database, you have about, let's say, uh, about 13 products. Okay, so 13 products are there. What are the products? You're going to have Google Pixel phone, you're going to have Apple iPhone 12 mini, Apple iPhone 11, and all the different kinds of accessories and all that. Okay, now using this API, if you want to get the results from the database, okay, and without parameters, I'm not adding any kind of parameters. If I click send, from the database, I'm getting all the data. So this is from results from the database. Okay. This is like results from the database. So get means I'm getting all the information, getting objects. Okay. So I'm getting all the information from the database, all the 13 products information from the database. Okay. So that is get API, meaning I'm retrieving the information from the database. Okay. Now I want to add parameters. Okay. And he's saying, your engineer is saying that test this KPI with parameters. Now I want only specific products to be retrieved from the database. I don't want all the products. Let's say only ID3. Okay, I'm going to click on ID3. I'm going to save it. I'm going to send it. Okay. So if I do that, only the product 3, right? Because the unique identifier is value 3. Only that product will be retrieved. Okay. Let's talk about how to, I want only like product 10. I'm getting, okay. I'm getting only Apple iPad mini. Okay, so this is get API. Okay, now you may be asking, what's the purpose of is me testing like this? So when the user, let me take a mobile shop so that you understand how it will be working from front end. Okay, so these are the different. I'm an AT&T website. So if you go here, when the user is just searching, okay, and he want all the products, so he's clicking on phone. On phone, it's asking like all the different kinds of phones it will be showing, right? So what he's doing now, when he clicks on phones, he's doing get API. And the back end, it's going for get API. So from the database, everything, all the phones is coming, right? For example, he is very specifically looking for like uh, new Apple, maybe Apple 16 Pro Max. Okay, now this is the key. I'm giving the key. Now only that information needs to come from the system, from the database. Only that phone needs to come. Others we should not pop up. So how will our database understand what the customer wants? What's the hit he wants, right? So that's what we have to test. In the back end, when he is giving all, get all means all the information will be retrieved from the system. But very specific identifier if they're giving, that is with parameters. Means again in the back end, the developer is going to use get method only to get the information from the system. But he very specifically, we have an identifier. For the user, it will look it as Apple 16 Pro, but in the back end, it will be ID. For us, it will be ID. Okay. So for us, it will be like ID1, ID2, ID3, like that. From the database, right? Usually the numbers only, it will be there. Front end, it may look like he's searching for Apple. Okay. Apple 16 Pro Max. This is the name, but in the from the database, right? Once the user hits on this one, it is going with that unique ID value at the backend and retrieving that image. So let's say 16. So it's going to, like, if you see, right, you're getting different results, different value, different, everything is going to be different, right? So how this system is able to identify it using that ID specific value. For user, it will be like plain English, but in the backend transaction, it will be based upon IDs only. Okay, so for example, ID 13, ID 14, name will be there, but our system database won't identify with names. So it's based upon IDs only. So you have to test. If suppose this is a get API, customer is choosing value 10 means only that needs to come. Okay, customer is choosing maybe value 5 means only that needs to pop up in the front end. So this is how you're going to use the get API. So get API, in the sense, this is like search functionality, any kind of search functionality. Like for example, ATMs near me, restaurants near me, or if you're going to like going for any like vacation, you're like, I want to know temples near me. What it will do, you're just like, you're not giving your information to the database, right? You're just retrieving the information from the database, whatever application you can use. Let's say you are using like Uber, and then you're going to like Uber Eats, you're going to search for maybe like Indian cuisine foods near me. Okay, that's a very generic keyword that you're giving. So the database has to like quickly go and search and then get the what are the nearest restaurants for you. So based upon some parameters, it is going to like the words like Indian cuisine. Those are the keywords. It's going to go and retrieve that data. So in those situations, you are using only get method. You are not using other method. So get method means all any kind of search functionality where you are not talking, you are not updating your information in the database, you're just retrieving the information from the database. So all this information are there in the database, but you are not giving your information. For example, now I'm not even logging into AT&T, but I'm able to search. Okay, I'm not even a user, they don't have my information, they don't have my first name, last name, my phone number, nothing, but I'll be able to go and search here. So that is get API. Whereas, let's talk about what is then uh, post method. Post method means now I'm going to log in. Once I log in, or once I create an account, once I register, now I have to get, I'm giving my first name, I'm giving my last name, I'm giving my account details, and I'm giving like all my information. So if you give your information, what needs to happen? There needs to be an entry in the database, right? So for example, okay. So for example, let's say that uh, okay. So example, let's say I'm giving another API. So now what you do, for example, you're going to log in. So when you log in, what will happen? You're giving your first name. So in the parameters, let's say that you're giving your first name, last name, your email IDs, your phone number, your address. So that needs to be made as an entry. No, it needs to be made as an entry in our system. So in our system means in the database. So anytime when you are giving your information, anytime when you are like creating an entry in the database, so all for the same AT&T, now I'm creating an account. Okay, so let's say that I'm going to go to my account and I don't have an account. Now it says that create an account. Okay, if you don't have a user ID, create one. So now it's asking me a few information. So if in order for me to create an account, I have to give my first name, last name, and email address, phone number, right? At least that. So if I give that, now database has to store my information, right? So when it wants to store my information in the backend, it will use post method. It will not use get method. Get method means the information is already there in the database. We are just retrieving. That is get method. But when the user wants to register new information in the system, so that will be post method. So that's the difference between get method and post method. Get method means we are just extracting the information from the database, whereas post method means we are giving new information to the system. So the system is going to remember. The next time when you log in, it will remember, okay, based upon your username and password, it will be like, again, it will make an entry. Again, when you log in, it will be post method only, because every time you log in, it has to remember, right? There is a new entry in the system. So every time you log in, when there is account creation, registration, all that, whenever you are giving your information to the system to remember, that will be post method. Okay. Put method means you already have an account. Now you want to change your information. Let's say that you are going to change your email ID, or let's say that you're going to change your phone number. So you have an existing account, you're logging into your existing account. Let's say that you're logging into your AT&T. This is, let's say that this is your name, first name, last name, and your email address and everything. Now you want to change two of this, your email address you want to change, as well as you want to change your password. So something like that, or you're going to change your phone number and email ID. So when you change multiple things in one transaction, okay, I'm going to submit only once, but I'm going to change everything. Okay, as the complete form, maybe 2 or 3 fields I'm going to change. I'm going to change my email ID, I'm going to change my phone number, but then I'm going to click on submit. So when you want to change multiple things, then it is put method. Okay, so post is the very first time that you're whatever you are creating, right? That will be post. But if you want to change something, it will be like put method. Put and patch. In patch, you can only change a single field. So for example, sometimes you can change only one field, right? You cannot change multiple fields at the same time. So if you can change only password, only that you can change. Or if you want to change any kind of your email ID, only that field you can change. Other fields you cannot change simultaneously. Sometimes your changes can be like in a form format. Multiple things you can change and you can submit. So one difference between put and patches, patch method is like only one time you can change. Okay, so any kind of change, only single field, only single parameter, if I'm going to change, then it is patch method. Put method means multiple things. You log in, you change multiple things at the same time, and if you click on submit, that time in the backend, right, the developer has to make sure it is put method. Otherwise, in the database, it won't change. Okay, let's say I'm changing here 2030. Okay, so year is 2030. Then price is, let's say, like 5,000. I'm changing two values here. I'm going to save, and then I'm going to send it to the database. It will change in the database here. For the same product, two values are being changed. But in patch, only one thing can be changed. Everything will be there in the database, but I cannot change. It's always one by one in patch. So put means multiple things can be changed at the same time. That's the difference between put method and patch method. Delete. Delete means there are two types of delete. One is soft delete and one is hard delete. For example, you are using Facebook, but you don't want to you want to deactivate or completely delete the account from your side. What will happen is like you can go, you will delete your account, but you're not actually deleting from the Facebook database. Okay, Facebook will have your information, but from your side, from a user perspective, you're deleting your account. You'll be unable to log in also, because it is completely, that's called a soft delete. So soft delete means for the end user, they cannot log in back, they'll not be able to access their photos or information, nothing, all their contacts will be lost, they cannot even log in back. But from the system, it is always there, the entry made in the system. When you created account, all your pictures, what are the posts you added, what are the videos you added, all that will be there in the database. That's there, that's for sure, but it will not be deleted from there. What is hard delete? Hard delete is you're actually deleting from the database. That's called as hard delete. That we will not do it unless we have special requests, unless there is compliance issue, unless like someone like got into like some kind of case. Now the government is like, US government is like, they want to access their Facebook account. Facebook is like, please delete. Facebook, please delete that from the database. We can tell them that it's not available. Please delete the whole information about the member. And they are private organizations, they can delete their own database, right? It's not at all an issue. So let's say that some murderer had left his iPhone, and then now the people want to access, US government want to access that phone. Okay, now iPhone has total they can always say that we don't have that member information in our system. It's completely deleted. It was our policy. We deleted all our information, something like that. They can tell. So from their side, unless we have special request from leadership saying that please completely remove the members information from the system, only then we are going to go for hard delete, right? Otherwise it's going to be soft delete only. Any kind of login deactivation or any kind of from the user perspective, we are deleting the account, it will be like only soft delete. It's not a hard delete. So any doubts on all these methods?
Pradeepa,
Yes.
so we need to learn these tools in and out and be thorough with it, like to go for an interview or
I mean,
like,
if they want someone to actually completely test. So, for example, you're working on a back end project, okay, not member facing, not front end like this. But if you're working completely on a back end project, and your everyday responsibility is like, but you have to test a bunch of APIs that they've created. So, as a BA, you have to test everything. Then they want you to thoroughly know everything.
oh,
Oth-
okay.
Otherwise, you can just say you know about APIs. So
Oh, okay.
whatever I'm teaching now, right? If you are able to, with example, if you tell them this should be fine, because you know about two methods, you know what are the, I mean, you know about what are the two different APIs, what are the different kinds of methods, different between get and post. So this is fine for the beginner. But from like a scenario perspective, from your project perspective, they ask you what are the different APIs, then you will not be able to answer.
Oh, okay. So
You
how
got it.
long? Yeah. So if you want to learn these tools, how easy or how difficult it is, and how much time would it take for us to, get at least intermediate level of expertise into it?
I mean, I think there are some people have made about videos on this and all. This is plain English, right? This is not rocket science. See, it's easy, right, for you to understand. They'll give you an URL and you're going to test it according to the methods. So maybe it will take like two weeks max for you to like completely learn it.
Oh, thank you, Pratibha.
Yeah. So what you have to do is you have to practice. You have to like download Postman, and then you have to practice with different APIs. You need to practice if information is coming, or go to put method, then change everything. Try with different APIs. This is the API that they are giving for free. So, but whatever you want to test, you can like test, and like you have to like play with this Postman. Okay. So any doubts on APIs? I think Monisha, you added like, does this work same for credit score? Yes. So for example, Wells Fargo wants to go get the information from Equifax. They will use the get method.
Okay. If they give using get method, how the credit score will be displayed using what method? Is it through get?
Yeah. When see from member perspective, if
Mm-hmm.
they're logging, they're creating an account and they're logging in, then that is post method. Okay.
Okay.
For
Okay.
logging in, it's post, because member information database has to remember the consent and all, database has to remember, right? So when member logs into, let's say that Wells Fargo, member is logging in, then
Okay.
that is post. Okay. From there, they're clicking on I need just credit score. From their side, it is get.
Okay.
But in
Okay.
the back end, we have to send this information
Uh,
um, to our external system. That time it is post from the
oh,
back end,
okay.
because we are sending all these new member details, right? So it is post
Okay.
in the backend. So it's not that only one API you'll use. For one single transaction, you can use multiple APIs.
Okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
for login, it is post. For retrieving, it is get. Again, in the backend, to check another system, is post. Again, for showing off something, then again, it is get. So multiple API integration is needed.
Okay.
Okay, so this will take some time. I mean, this and all is a little bit technical, so but it will take some time for you to understand, especially if you don't have IT experience. This can be really like overwhelming. But I just want you to introduce to this concept, because they are asking actually in the interview, they're actually asking, do you know about APIs? What are the different APIs? Because these are all the latest technology. So you can always say, I know what are the different APIs, and I've tested with Postman, And you can also give some examples if you're adding some projects in your resume. So accordingly, please like tell some real-time examples. Okay. So any other doubts for today's class?
Pradeep, I just wanted to understand, like you do these real-time projects in your paid training. So, like when we do a project, is it from end to end that you create mock-ups and then you do all these testing, you try to create not only PRDs, FRDs and all that, but then up to the level of UAT testing. So you do, is the project like end to end that you train upon?
So the project that I'm teaching is a Pega application project. Okay, so you have to like download Pega, create case in Pega. So an end-to-end test in Pega application only. So when we say end-to-end, I'm not doing it from UI to backend. That kind of testing I'm not teaching. What I'm teaching is like from a backend perspective, whatever projects I'm giving is actual Pega backend application where you will be creating cases in the backend and that kind of Pega based testing and also. So I'm not telling them something an UI product or anything. You got it? Like websites, those kind of projects I'm not teaching.
Oh, okay.
Completely like Pega based applications in the backend. For example, claims means I will just say in front end claim is submitted, but actually in the Pega application, how claims are processed, how a case is being created, how queue concepts, how a queue is being created in Pega. So mostly it's about backend systems. There you will be able to create cases and you'll be able to test. You got it?
So in case we have these healthcare jobs,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so how does it look like? I mean, what kind of testing we do? I mean, mostly in the healthcare jobs, what kind of role do you see? Is it mostly back end testing that a BA needs to do, or how is it in real time?
So it depends upon what project, right? Whether if you're going into authorization project or if you're going into claims project, mostly you'll be testing in the back end only. For example, what are the different ways of authorizations can be submitted, whether those requests are received by our system, whether those informations are validated by our system, whether those informations are um, loaded into our system and a case. For example, let's say you're working for your client is Aetna. Okay, in Aetna, there are like 2 to 3 different ways of authorizations can be submitted. It can be submitted by paper, it can be submitted by EDI, or it can be submitted by provider portal. 3 different ways it can be submitted. So if you're working in a backend application for Aetna, when member submits or provider submits by 3 different ways, your system is able to extract that information, validate that information, whether the member ID is valid or not, whether the information, whatever they're giving is valid or not. Then that information needs to be stored into your system and a case is being created in the backend, right? So you're not actually working for anything member facing like this. So you'll be working in the backend system only, mostly in healthcare. Claims processing in the back end, authorization processing in the back end, how enrollment files are processed in the back end, and how pricing team contracts, how contracts are being done between various hospitals and individual physicians offices. So contract management. Enrollment means when anybody wants to enroll, they will enroll. They can be enrolled through portal, they can enroll through their HR, but if they are going by their employer, or they can enroll through agents also. But those information has to be stored in a different system. Whatever you're seeing, this is just web application, web portal, like where end users can use. But back of this, multiple systems are there. So you may be working in one of those systems.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
Pradeep.
Yes, for same thing for banking too. This may look like one application, but Wells Fargo, this is like web application, right? Online banking application, but they are going to have multiple teams. They're going to have their own mobile banking team. They're going to have their enrollment team. They're going to have their credit card team, loan team. There multiple teams will be there in the back end. So you'll be working for one of their piece. Your product may not be member facing also. It can be only an internal application to Wells Fargo internal employees. Okay, so I think we are good for today. So thanks for everyone for joining this class. So today will be the last day, and then
Uh,
going for, yes.
Ma'am, can you can you share a real time example of a BRD, FRD, and SRS documents so that we can like have a review like how exactly they are writing and we get an idea. Is there any website or anything for it?
Yeah, I'll add in the. So Monisha, what I'll do is I'll add in the description. Okay, so it's better
Okay.
you'll be able to download it, and then
Yeah, yeah.
can see it. So I'll add whatever documents you've requested. I will add those from wherever I'm taking, right? So that
Yeah, yeah,
link
sure,
I
sure.
can add it so that you can directly access the document.
Okay, and which document will contain the UML diagrams, like the activity diagrams and all those things, use case diagrams?
Mostly it is you can add in the BRD, but mostly in
Okay.
FRD only. Like mostly all detailed diagrams will be in FRD.
So if it is agile, where will be adding it?
You can add in the user stories, right? So what
Okay.
you do
Yeah.
is like
Mhm.
you can in Confluence also directly you can draw.
Okay. Mhm.
In Confluence, you can directly go to add app, Glyphy
Okay.
app, and directly
Okay.
you can draw in Confluence and publish it so that everybody in your team can see it.
Okay. Got it. Got it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think we are good for today. Thank you guys for joining, and I will see you after 2 weeks. We have some Salesforce training. So if you want,
Okay.
you can join that training. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.